All right, everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of The Sportsmen. As always, we've got Mikey V, we've got Joseph Cutsy DeMar down there. I'm the big ticket. We're going to be doing things a little different this episode. We're going to be doing mainly questions, but there are some topics that we want to get to first before we get into those questions. We will be doing a Who's a Problem as well. But let's start at the top. The most interesting thing that's going on just happened hours ago. Max Scherzer left the Mets yesterday. Justin Verlander hours ago left the Mets today. Let's start with Mikey V. I mean, good move, bad moves. Regardless, Mets are in sale mode.
I mean, when you sign two Cy Young pitchers for $213 million or whatever it was, right around there, and you, on paper, you win 101 games last year, I believe the Mets won during the regular season, and you go ahead and make moves like that, your fan base is expecting
big things
for you to be a contender, a legitimate contender, not just, some kind of fugazi going through the motions. And I just think that for the Mets, things did not go the way it was expected. And this is baseball. And this is why, all those years when the Yankees spent a lot of money, sometimes it worked out and a lot of times it didn't. You can't buy a World Series. You can't do it. It's very, very difficult to do. I think the Mets tried to do it. And, kudos to Steve Cohen for trying, because the knock on the Mets was always, that the Wilpons didn't spend any money, right? And that they were cheap, cheap ownership. Steve Cohen comes in, spends a boatload of money, Lindor, Scherzer, Verlander, and now it's just incredibly sad and ironic that Verlander ends right back with the Astros. But the concerning thing is Scherzer, after his last start, basically outright demands a meeting with ownership, with Cohen, and as soon as that meeting's over, he gets traded. He wanted to know where the team's direction was heading into 2024. And then Verlander, after his last start, which was a good one, Scherzer's been a little disappointing. They've both kind of been a little disappointing. Verlander less so than Scherzer. Verlander kind of poses the same question, not as abruptly as Scherzer does. And now he's gone. And the Met fan, I mean, listen.
They got to be up
typical Mets now. I'm not going to get too much on the Mets. I'm not going to rag on the Mets when my New York Yankees basically sat with their thumb all the way implanted up their anal cavity to their large and small intestine today. Brian Cashman signs a journeyman reliever from the White Sox, and I'm supposed to get excited about that. The Yankees are a total joke. They're losing to the Rays as we speak.
They're going to lose to the Rays.
Of course they're going to lose to the Rays. The Yankees are pathetic. They are pathetic. Both New York baseball franchises this season have been nothing short of an abysmal disappointment to both their fan bases. I think the Yankee fan, who kind of knew that this team wasn't that much different, and as soon as Rodon went down and Judge went down, there wasn't going to be much change. But for the Mets fan, you bring in those two aces, legitimate aces. Then you got Kodai Senga, who's been pitching well for the Mets. You think you got a real shot here. You think you got a real shot. Their all-world closer gets hurt in the World Baseball Classic, as we've spoken about before. Then they trade Jordan Montgomery, their best relief pitcher. The Mets went on a fucking fire sale, and they basically told you maybe they recognize that this is not the way to do it, and they're cutting bait sooner than they had to. But if you're a Mets fan, you have to be totally, totally distraught. But they're so used to it that I know Met fans are just be like, listen, bro, this is the New York Mets. And that's so sad when you've reached a point in your fandom where you literally, like, something like this happens. And at the same, while it's shocking, in the same breath, you can kind of believe that it happened, because this is what happens to you as a fan. And that's a shitty, shitty feeling. And I feel bad for the Mets fans. As a Yankee fan, I've never had animosity towards Mets fans or the Mets. Mets fans are usually a lot more resentful of the Yankees and hate the Yankees.
See, Bob hates
the
Mets. Bob
That's
hates
ridiculous.
the Mets.
There's no reason to hate.
I don't know. It'd be like
Why?
I'll give you an example. Like hating the Mets as a Yankees fan would be like a Packers fan hating a Bears fan. There's just no need to. You've dominated. You've dominated. It's not meant to be a shot.
That's a bad analogy. That's a bad analogy. That's the longest. The Yankees and the Mets don't play each other that much.
They're not even in the same division.
They're not even in the same. They're not even in the same league. National League, American League. That's a bad analogy. But I'm going to just the Bears and the Bears and the Packers is like the Yankees. That's Yankees Red Sox, Joe. Those two franchises
I get.
I'm
not trying to take away that it's the oldest rivalry in sports. I'm saying.
I see what you're saying. There's been a level of dominance from the Packers of late, like the Yankees.
That's all I'm saying.
Like, so why concern yourself?
Yeah, it's just like why would you hate a team that for the last decade or more has really not done anything to hurt your team? Like they've been a much inferior team, if we're going to be honest. I'm not taking away from the. I guess what you're saying is correct. I just kind of jumped the gun there because people ask me all the times, like, do you hate Bears fans? I'm like, no, I hate Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, like, as a Bears fan, I hate the Packers. I don't necessarily hate the fans. I don't think Packers fans. I hate the Packers. People. I hate the Packers because the Packers always beat us, number one, but I really hated Aaron Rodgers a lot until he left. But I always respected how great he was. I always said how great he was. But like, I disdain Boston fans. Boston fans as a I hate the Red Sox. I hate the Red Sox fans. Michigan, they're the most arrogant fans on the face of the planet. They're my number one.
Mikey,
I'm sorry, bro.
Everyone who's against your teams can't be the arrogant ones. At some point, you got to look at yourself. It's not just Red Sox
fans.
It's not
arrogant.
Just Michigan
New York Yankee fans are arrogant. New York Yankee fans are very arrogant.
Yes, they and Ohio State fans are arrogant.
How many Ohio State fans do you know? How many besides me? How many do you know? I know
quite a number. I know quite a number.
That's surprising because I don't know too many over here. Everyone in my area is either Penn State, Michigan, or Notre Dame. Most people in New York Metropolitan, Penn State, Michigan, Notre Dame. But back to the Mets. I'm sorry, we got off topic there. The Met fan has to be extremely gutted with these moves because the vision was only one thing. When you heard that they had signed Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, two of the greatest pitchers of the last decade, right? Not Carlos Rodon. And I understand Rodon's good, but this was like signing two Garrett Coles. It was like, and maybe even more so because of Verlander's success in the playoffs and his history in the playoffs, maybe even more so. DeGrom leaves, gutting, but they, in his place, they're like, listen, we're going to give you DeGrom and another DeGrom. And it just totally fucking blew up in the Mets fans' face, and they gotta be hurt.
The other problem too is not only did they sign by the way, DeGrom was hurt half the time when he was with the Mets.
That's true.
So even though he was incredible,
they never gave him any run support. Got him, and they never gave him any run support. That was always his MO. He'd pitch a one-run complete game, the Mets would lose 1-0.
Yes, always.
He would pitch a 2-run complete game, the Mets would lose 2-1.
It's like Garrett Cole right now. The Yankees can't give him any offense.
The Yankees can't give anybody any offense.
So my point is, though, the fact is he was hurt. So you get two guys now who are still pitching the lights out, and couple that with, they were a great team last year. They were one of the better teams in the National League, and they had a lot of promise. They had a disappointing playoffs. But you got to think, like, you come from 100+ win season, and then you get those two guys. You got to think that you're going to be somebody's got to do a life check on Frank the Tank. He's got to be life support right now.
Yeah,
well, it's true. I'll take this thing. Well, he can hang his hat on Cameo. He can hang his hat on Cameo against Bobby Boy.
Sure can.
I'll take this in a little bit of a different direction. While I agree with all of what Mikey said and all of what Joe said outside of the Bears analogy thing. New York has not in the last 5, 6, maybe a decade
have been relevant.
They haven't had much to hang their hat on. They haven't. The Yankees have come, they make the playoffs every once in a while. The Islanders had a couple good runs.
Well, Yankees made it to the ALCS.
Yeah.
So I mean,
the Knicks made the playoffs
the
this
Knicks
year.
trick people every year. The Knicks get people
That's
excited, and it
that's
goes
the perfect
nowhere.
word, trick. That's the perfect
and
word.
the Giants have sucked, and the Jets are the most miserable.
Giants won a playoff game last year, Tim.
Good for them, but New York hasn't.
I'd love
really
to win a playoff game. I'd love to see it.
Okay, well, you're in a different position.
I really
mean, yeah, but the point is that this was supposed to be the year for New York where things were really going to come together for the Mets fans. I know not all of New York is Mets fans, but this was the team that was supposed to really make a nice run. Yes. You get Scherzer. They already had Pete Alonso, who crushes home runs. He had 2 the other night. And even beyond the Mets and New York, it was going to be good for baseball. Reuniting Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, who had a great magical run with the Tigers. They went to the World Series, I think, twice together. It was a great reuniting with them. And it was just going to be good to have a great team like the Mets succeed. And I'm a Phillies fan, and they're our immediate rival. And I still was like, this is going to be good for baseball. Baseball needs some help, and this is going to be good. And just to see them do what the Mets always do, even with some help, was just so... It sucks. It sucks as a sports fan. It sucks certainly for Mets fans. And but I will give one thing of hope, is that before the Eagles won their Super Bowl, I'll bring it back to me because I always do because I'm a narcissist. The Eagles, if you remember, back in 2015, 2014, we assembled the Dream Team.
I remember.
We spent a bunch of money on Nnamdi Asomugha.
Mike Vick was great, but
Mike Vick, Vince Young.
Who was the corner that you brought in? An all-world corner.
Nnamdi Asomugha from the Raiders.
Asomugha. That's right.
And sometimes you spend money and it doesn't work. And that's what the Mets do. And at that point, the Eagles were nothing. We had never won a Super Bowl, but only a few years later did we go out and win our very first. So Mets fans, hold your head high. It can still happen, but it's quite it sucks. I can only imagine.
New York sports is on life support right now, and these fans, the only solace they could take really is a lot of Mets fans are Jets fans, and I think there's a reason to be very
excited. Jets are the new hope. The Jets are the new hope.
And even the Giants. I mean, listen, people may say the Giants are going to have a down year. I'm not going to disagree that the Giants maybe overachieved last year, but I love their head coach. I love their GM. The question is going to be: Is Daniel Jones really going to perform? I don't know if he's going to perform up to that contract, but the Giants and the Jets both have reason to be hopeful. I will say that.
I will. And one last thing with this topic is, I would say someone like Mikey V, you would have liked to see the Yankees do what the Mets did and go out and spend some money in the offseason. And then even then, if it's not working, you know what? All the power to them. You know what? You realize you did something. It's not working out. You at least trade them, you get some assets back, and you reevaluate what you're going to do. I mean, at least they realize it wasn't working, and they're not, riding it out.
That's what I'm saying too. Like, would you rather the Mets have hung on to these guys for another year and then it was a repeat performance next year? Like,
right.
I respect to some degree that they're able to cut ties, cut bait, and move on from it. The Yankees, meanwhile, still have the Stanton contract on the books. They're still got this Josh Donaldson on the books. They still got a Gleyber Torres who tries some nights and doesn't try other nights. This team the game has passed Brian Cashman by, in my opinion. I think the game of baseball has changed so much, and you see these teams, the Orioles, the Rays, these teams that are doing it this year and that are having successful seasons, the Astros, because the Astros develop players unlike any other team in baseball. That's why they're so good. Yordan Alvarez, guys like this who are, a guy's getting plus 200 odds to hit a home run. Plus 200 odds to hit a home run? That's insane. That's insanely low. That's the game maybe has passed Cashman by, and something really needs to be done. But Mets fans, I do apologize. That's a disappointing season for the New York Mets.
Sure is. Moving back to football here, we got, Sean Payton took a serious shot at Nathaniel Hackett and his coaching job last year. Obviously, bringing in Russell Wilson, the Broncos were extremely disappointing. And Sean Payton, the new coach of the Broncos, was pretty critical, to say the least, of the job he did last year. Joey D, did you see these comments? What do you think?
He's actually this is my who's the problem segment is Sean Payton this week. I think to come back after not coaching for how many years and to immediately start pointing the finger. It was 2 or 3 years, Mike.
It was 2. I think it was.
My point being is to come back
4 years. So last year,
to immediately just point the finger at the guy who you're replacing, and to say that it might have been one of the worst coaching performances in the history of the NFL, which it may have been. There's no need to go there.
Agree.
There's no need. It's just classless, man. You're getting paid a buttload of fucking money. You're getting everything that you need. What do you gain from saying how bad of a performance it is? It's almost like he's trying to set up this grand revival that he's going to do to make it look like how bad a job Hackett made, and then he's going to be the white knight who comes in here and changes everything. It's almost like he's setting himself up. I've heard he's got a big ego. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's like, listen, if you were, if you knew someone got fired, Ticket, right? Say, you get a job in a profession, you're replacing somebody who got fired and you're getting paid well. Would you immediately, before you even started the job, take a shot at that person and say that they did one of the worst? There's no need for it. And you know what? I gotta tip my cap to Aaron Rodgers. He won back-to-back MVPs with Nathaniel Hackett as the offensive coordinator in Green Bay. It's his guy. And now he's back with them at the Jets. And good for him for standing up for him and saying, don't come at my coach. And I can't wait till these two teams play. I think it's going to be
Mike Tomlin said that today, because someone asked Mike Tomlin, the Steelers head coach, obviously, as most of you know. They asked him what he thought about it, and he was like, I'm like everybody else. I can't wait for them to play each other. That's exactly what he said.
I don't know when they play. They play.
I think, to piggyback off of Joe's point, I think that Sean Payton got a little bit he was cantonized a little early, leaving New Orleans. He won a Super Bowl there, of course. I believe he was the head coach during Katrina, if I'm not mistaken, which was a big thing for them. So this guy is an idol in New Orleans, but let's not put this guy on the tier of Bill Parcells and Bill Belichick and Don Shula and Bill Walsh. I'm not putting Sean Payton on that tier.
The Broncos already have. The Broncos traded a first-round pick for this fucking guy.
They certainly are. That's what I'm saying. I think he got really heavily promoted and heavily pumped up. And I believe he does have an ego, as all these guys are alpha males in the NFL that are head coaches. They all have egos to one degree or another. But with Payton, to me, it's like, hold on a second. You played in a dome with a bona fide Hall of Fame quarterback in Drew Brees, who broke every record known to man passing the football, right? A machine. Yeah. And they had plenty of opportunities. Remember, they played in the NFC, not the AFC. There was no Tom Brady. There was no Ben Roethlisberger. There was none of that. They played in the NFC during that. There was no Peyton Manning.
There was Aaron Rodgers.
They played, right, okay, but he only won 1 too. But kind of to my point, you got a guy like Mike McCarthy in Dallas, who only won 1 Super Bowl with Rodgers, and this guy is villainized more than any other head coach in the league. He's got the same amount of rings as Payton does with the same kind of caliber of quarterback, same kind of a great quarterback, Drew Brees, Aaron Rodgers. So for people to put Payton on this Mount Rushmore of coaches, that he's the end-all, be-all of coaches, we'll see just how he does this year in Denver. Now, do I expect improvement? I think Ticket said he doesn't, if I'm not mistaken, or you said you do, Ticket.
Ticket thinks they're going to be awful.
I think they're going to be terrible.
Yeah, awful. Yeah, so let's see what happens in Denver before we start putting this guy in Canton, which, I mean, I don't know if he ends up there. I don't know. Probably, but I don't know. But I think Payton should not be regarded on that high Mount Rushmore elite tier of head coaching. Let's see what he does in Denver. New environment, a team that came off a brutal year, a quarterback who looks like if you go by last year, Russell Wilson looks like he's cooked. He looks like he's done. We'll see exactly how he does. And kudos to Rodgers. I mean, listen, Hackett, like we said, is Rodgers' guy. Rodgers is going to defend him. Rodgers has always been outspoken. Rodgers doesn't give a fuck what anybody thinks. And he'll say whatever he wants. And now that he's out of Green Bay, more power to him. I could care less. I'm a big Rodgers supporter now. Like I've been saying, I can't wait to watch the New York Jets. They're must-watch football. Denver Broncos, Sean Payton. I agree, Joe. He is a problem. That is a problem. That's it's very like tacky. It's a tacky move by me.
Yeah, it is. And everything that you just said about Sean Payton I feel that way about Russell Wilson, which is why that's more of the reason why I think the Broncos are going to stink. I do think Sean Payton's a very good coach, definitely a step up, definitely a promotion.
He's a very good coach.
But I agree with you. I also don't know why he's been cantonized so early. He reminds me a lot of Doc Rivers in the NBA. What did he really do? He had a super team. He won 1 ring when he probably should have won 3. He's gone around the league, not won anything, and people yet still see him as the end all and be all of coaching. So he reminds me a lot of that. But yeah, I mean, just like Joe said, just what do you gain from it? What's the point? It doesn't help you in any way other than, you're setting yourself up to be the white knight, like Joe, exactly what Joe said, to come in and save the day. And then if you don't save the day, you've completely fucked yourself.
Yeah.
So
if he plays bad, if the Broncos are bad this year, he's going to take some big. I mean, they're for what they gave him, they're going to give him 2-3 years to prove that he can do something. But he's going to have to eat some crow.
If they bomb this year again, Ticket, I know you said they're going to be awful. I can't.
I think they win like 9 games.
I can't conceive a world where they're worse than they were.
But you just said Russell looks cooked, right?
He does. But I do think that Payton could probably game plan enough around.
They have a good defense.
They'll look a little better, I would think. I don't know. But again, if they bomb, he's going to be in the crosshairs, or he may scapegoat it. You know what? He may scapegoat it and use Russell as the scapegoat. Russell's not his guy. You couldn't see him kind of going down that route. Well,
at this point, it looks like he might go against anybody. He might do whatever. I mean, anybody's on the hot seat with this guy.
Drew Brees out of retirement by midseason.
He might call up Darren Sproles for some action.
Joe Horn.
All right.
Was it Joe Horn or Robert Horn? What was the other guy?
Joe Horn.
Yeah, the guy who took the cell phone out of the
cell phone.
Yeah.
By the way, did you see we got ripped in the comments last week about the wild card slots? Did you guys see that?
Yeah. I said we had 3.
Yeah, you did. Joe was right.
I got burned.
Right.
You're right. I didn't because last year I said I thought there was 2. I'm wrong.
I did too.
Last year they added an extra playoff spot.
I should know better than anybody because the Bears made the playoffs thanks to that ridiculous 3 wild card rule 2 years ago, and they got pole smoked by the Saints, mind you, in New Orleans.
Yeah.
Those third wild card teams, sometimes they just, frankly, they don't deserve to be there. They don't. And that's what you saw with the Bears that one year. They had no business being in the playoffs, and they got embarrassed on national TV.
Sometimes, though, I mean, look at the Giants when they won the Super Bowl. You thought they had no business being getting that second wild card.
That was 2.
And the Packers had the second wild card when they won the Super Bowl as well.
But that addition of the third to allow a team of the caliber like the Bears were that year, it's just not a good look. It's not a good look. It's just not. I loved when the top 2 seeds had the bye. I don't like one team only having the bye. I get it. I understand that maybe it brings even more competitive spirit out of the team because now they know that there's only one spot for them to get that bye.
Yeah.
So that bye can be so bad though, man. It killed the Packers multiple years because they were in a playoff spot. They had locked up the 1 seed. And like the Rodgers had a week off and then another week. And so it was like 3 weeks before he'd actually played a game. And then they came out looking lethargic and just shitty against the Niners. I mean, it could backfire.
Yeah, that's all sports. I mean, when you get that bye, that first round, I mean, I've seen the Yankees, I've seen a lot of great teams get that first round bye, and it's almost like you just want them to keep playing so they stay in game mode.
Yeah.
But sometimes they take that week off, they get a little comfortable, they come back against the team that hasn't stopped, and they get their ass kicked. I mean, that happens across all sports. But all right, let's stay with football. Let's move through this one quickly. But Joe Burrow injured. Does that look too serious? What do we think about that? Is it gonna affect his contract? What do you think?
Won't affect the contract. It's a calf. It's not a knee. If it was a knee, if it was a shoulder, if it was a hip, if it was even an ankle, I'd be a little bit more concerned. A calf. The thing about the calf, any soft tissue injury, hamstring, quad, calf, something like that. That's just going to be a nagging injury. That's going to be a nagging injury probably throughout the season, to be honest. It may really be. And another factor of Burrow's game that could be hurt by that is people don't realize, and I've been telling people this for a long time since he was at Ohio State, forget LSU. And then when he was at LSU, obviously it was on more full display. Joe Burrow is a deceiving runner of the football. He's a deceiving runner of the football. Joe Burrow can scurry when he has to scurry. Yeah. He can move. That's probably not going to be the same for the first month of the season. Now, they're going to shut him down, as they should. If I am the GM or I'm the head coach of that team, Zach Smith, I am shutting Joe Burrow down until week 1. I don't give a fuck what anyone says about he's not getting. Joe Burrow has been playing football a very long time at the highest levels of performance. He doesn't. You cannot jeopardize him getting hurt. If he ain't ready 100% by week 1, I'd sit him week 1. He does not step on that field.
Are you serious?
Until he's 100%, Joe, he don't step on the field for me. I'm sorry. That is too big of a risk for him to get seriously hurt if he tears something because he's overcompensating.
But Mikey, the heat that you would take as the head coach.
Listen, you got to be ready to take that heat if you're.
I agree. He shouldn't play the preseason. I agree. But by week one, if he's even like 80, 85%, you throw him out there.
I'm sure he will play week 1. Disclaimer, I'm sure he plays week 1. I'm just saying personally, because this franchise, like, listen, the NFL, you guys know, this is, you're mortgaging. The Bengals are about to mortgage their entire franchise on this guy. They're going to do it. And they should, because he's that good. He's that fucking good. He's Joe Cool. He's cool under pressure. He could make every throw on the field. He's a leader. He's got his teammates wrapped around his finger like any leader would. He could march him down the field. He could run. He could do it all. He's young. He's got the
week 1 divisional game against the Browns in Cleveland.
Yeah. Big game. Divisional
games are always big games. They're always.
I think the Browns are. You want to talk about a team I think is going to stink? I think the Browns are.
Who's quarterbacking the Browns right now? I don't even.
Deshaun Watson.
Oh, Deshaun.
I think the Browns are going to be solid this year. I think they're going to be a solid team.
Talk about a story that has just gone cold. By the way, that was all we could talk about last year. It's gone.
It was so funny. He was on the fantasy.
It ended up being a happy ending for Watson in the end.
Sure. He was on the fantasy waiver wire, and people were salivating at the opportunity to pick him up, and he turned out to be a complete dud. I mean, guy hadn't played football in how long? I mean, you had to kind of 2
years almost.
Kind of thought he was going to be due for a bit of a regression, and he was going to take some time to get back to it. But dude, I think the Browns are going to be solid. I think any divisional game is a big game. I think he plays week 1, but I think you got to Mikey's point. I will say, anytime you have a franchise quarterback like that, who is literally your entire team, you have got to make sure that he is in good shape. Yeah, because missing 1 game is a hell of a lot better than missing 8 or 9.
I just think it's going to be a lingering injury. I think because that's kind of what those injuries are.
Well, look at what Mahomes was dealing with last year, though. He was banged up the whole year, though. He looked like he could barely play in the playoffs.
And now he's out there putting pressure on it, play with his golf swing, guys. But in theory, I agree completely with Mikey. I think that's exactly what you should do. But I just know, with past experience with the Eagles and seeing it with other teams, the pressure between the head coach and the front office and ownership that they put on, like, this is our star. This is who puts asses in seats. You're telling me he's not going to be in game 1? Well, but on the coach's standpoint, he's like, I'm going to get fired if I put this guy in and he gets a season-ending injury because he wasn't ready to play. So the dynamic that goes back and forth between the front office, ownership, and then head coach, it's a lot of pressure on the head coach to do the right thing, and it should be more pressure on the ownership to realize that you are about to mortgage. Let's just let him get 100% healthy. Maybe even it's week 3. But he's good to go. That's my philosophy, and that's the way it seems to be what Mikey V is alluding to.
Being on the
road,
I know
there is a lot more pressure for those head coaches.
May be advantageous. being on the road week one may be.
Right.
Listen, guys, we're not going to lose anybody because we're not playing at home week one.
Right.
We're not going to lose a single. Now, week one, NFL, Bengals coming off an AFC championship appearance. I think even if people knew Burrow wasn't playing in that game, they'd still sell that game out with ease. With ease,
right.
They'd sell that game out because everyone's so bloodthirsty for football to come back. And it's not like the Bengals aren't an entertaining team. Yes, of course, Burrow drives the bus, but you still got Jamar Chase and all these guys on offense, all these high prolific offensive weapons, and Mixon and T. Higgins and T. Higgins and all these guys. I mean, this is a good football team all the way around. Defense is good. So I think they won't have an issue there, but maybe week one on the road plays to the advantage of Burrow's recovery. But again, I do expect he probably plays week one.
September 10th could not come soon enough, man.
Hey, we have NFL football this week, gentlemen. We have NFL football this week. Thursday, Hall of Fame game. Jets.
That's
and they already announced that the starting quarterbacks are going to be Zach Wilson and some guy from Cleveland, not Deshaun Watson. So it's going to be a really.
And we've already had some scrimmages, Mike.
If you don't think for a second, Joe, that I will be glued to the television on Thursday night,
will you be
Hall of Fame game?
Will you be making wagers? Will you be making wagers?
Yes,
of course he will.
I checked tonight. No, I checked tonight for the first quarter over/under. It's not posted yet. Not posted yet. The spread is the Jets -1.5. The Jets are favored 1.5. The over/under is 33.
I tell you what, no one is as ready for the NFL season as Mikey V's only subs. That is
their
salary. The only subs are like just chomping at the bit for that NFL season.
It's going to be a lot.
This season, and you know what the good news is, gentlemen, is that we got college football before NFL.
Yeah, week 0 is coming up.
You know what? Week 0, man. I already looked into it because I'm a sick person, and I'm already thinking in my head, the wheels are turning because I got the backyard getting finished, and I'm like, I'm gonna have the nice patio with the TV and the furniture and shit. So I'm like, I really want to do a nice Saturday night with the boys for college football. There is not a marquee matchup on Saturday night primetime until week 2 of the season. Not week 0, not week 1, week 2, Alabama, Texas.
Saturday. But that's the way it almost always is, Mikey.
Once in a while, you get a week 0 crazy.
Once in a while, but it's usually
week 1. Week 1, you get one. You got nothing until week 2. So week 2 is the Saturday night before NFL Sunday, week 1. Texas, Bama, right into NFL.
Bama's going to mop the floor.
Let me tell you something. Texas is a good team this year.
We hear this every year. Every year. Texas is for real.
They just lost their best player, by the way. Bijan Robinson, their best player, just left.
Well,
Quinn Ewers is their best player, the quarterback.
You think so? I know he got hurt last year, but I don't know.
He was a mega recruit coming out of high school. He's going to do very well. Look what happened last year, Bama, Texas, how close that game was. That was a 1 point. I think it was a 1 point Bama victory.
Is that the game that he got hurt? Is that the game that he got hurt?
Yeah, I think it might have been. That was a great game, and I expect the same this year. I think it'll be a great football game.
You just hear about Texas being. It's like you're like the Yankees, like every year. No, really, they got a good team this year.
I said this year
it's gonna be different.
No, I never said that.
By the way,
no. I'm saying that's Texas fans every year. Notre Dame fans are the same.
I believe it this year, and I think Notre Dame's going to be good too. I really do.
I'm going to throw this out there right now. Okay?
We're going to see Notre Dame, boys. By the way,
yes, we are.
We're going to see Notre Dame.
By the way, I'm going to throw this out there right now. Okay, we are scheduled to be in Cleveland, Ohio, September 6th and probably the 7th. I am not opposed to flying to New York and watching Week 1 football with Mikey V.
Fly in on Saturday.
Well, I think that's the time.
College football night with the boys, and then Sunday.
We're in Cleveland.
But I think that's the time when we're going to go to South Bend, isn't it? When we're in Ohio?
No, South Bend is the day after the Breezy.
Oh, that's the 22nd,
23rd.
So,
22nd.
22nd is a tournament.
Okay,
I'm just saying it might be worth running by Bob and the boys.
I ain't doing that, Mikey, unfortunately. But if they want to, that's fine.
We're in Cleveland. We're on the east. We're close to the East Coast.
Yeah.
On the 6th and probably the 7th. Maybe we fly out the 8th. We do a dinner on the Friday night. The 9th is Saturday. We watch college football. On the 10th, we do an NFL extravaganza.
If I was a single man, that sounds enticing. But
well,
I got people to attend to. Yeah,
I'm married, but I mean, listen,
it's week 1 of the football season.
Yeah,
it's
Joe,
kind of a big deal.
I actually just had texted Bob about that earlier tonight, so let's go ahead and put that on the book.
I think Mikey V, you throw that in the Brilliant Dumb chat, and we see where that goes.
Well, we'll pull on that thread a little bit, but moving forward, my problem last week, Jim Irsay, despite one idiot in the comments saying that the Jaylen Brown take was mine, but it wasn't. That was Joseph's problem. My problem was Jim Irsay. Things have only escalated since he was my problem. The Jonathan Taylor thing has gotten out of hand, and he's just being Jim Irsay. We'll move through this one pretty quickly, but I mean, Mikey, what's going on there, man?
Jim Irsay makes a valid point when he says the CBA was negotiated. He's not wrong by saying that, but where he is wrong is ostracizing his best player. It's very, very stupid. It's very, very stupid.
Well, Anthony Richardson's going to be his best player now.
That's fine, but he's not right now until proven otherwise. Jonathan Taylor's been the only reason that team is even in the mix ever to win football games, because he's been superhuman for them ever since he's come out of Wisconsin. He's been superhuman. But I'll say this, Jim Irsay he's so volatile, and he just has diarrhea of the mouth and of the fingers when he goes on Twitter. He's just got diarrhea mouth, says whatever pops in his mind, thinks he's the best thing on the face of the planet since sliced bread. And there's nobody on earth who's ever going to change that mentality. That's who he is. He's going to continue to act that way. So I don't think people should really be surprised by the way he's acting and by what he said. It's just a really dumb thing to say, because you're going to just make things ugly. And if you're a team like the Colts, where things haven't really been pretty, now you're just making things uglier. When the fan base was all excited about Anthony Richardson, they're trying to pump that up. They're trying to, make this a thing with this kid and say how great he looks and he's a great kid and that there's promise and give the fans the hope. And then you got Irsay now getting into a spat with the best player, and now the best player wants to leave. And, now the fans, what do the fans say? Are the fans offended because the best player wants to leave, or do the fans turn on the ownership? And now that becomes a whole other problem. So it's just a problem that wasn't there. A team with enough problems just created another problem because their dopehead owner couldn't just keep his mouth shut and just say something along the lines of, listen, the contracts are what the contracts are, but we'll discuss it on the side, or we'll discuss it, in a private meeting or in a private manner. Now, they had a meeting in Irsay's trailer on Saturday, apparently, for like an hour, him and Jonathan Taylor. Where it stands now is up to anyone's guess. Taylor said that he tweeted out that half the shit that people are saying is not credible. So, who knows? But don't create problems that aren't there when your team's already got enough problems to worry about.
I'm going to go on and say, I don't think any owner should be talking about his team unless there's a serious issue to basically attend to. All these owners who are loud spoken, you look at Jerry Jones, fucking Davis from the Raiders, Al Davis, all these guys, man, that get involved more than they need to. It takes the focus off the team, puts it on them, and it just causes problems. Shut the hell up, go to the games, be like Kraft and do your thing, and just sit there and enjoy your team, when they're successful. I mean, I guess the Colts aren't successful, so that doesn't really, it's not relevant. But I just think that when an owner is outspoken, like some of these guys, and have a massive ego, it's just bad for the team. It just doesn't help the team. Jerry Jones has been in the Cowboys' way for so freaking long that it's like the Jerry Jones show. It's like every freaking week he's got to talk and he says shit that
he's a glorified GM of that team, kind of. That's just
I understand that, but I'm saying it's just I think a successful owner is one who sits back, makes moves when he needs to, and just doesn't get into the limelight.
Yeah,
A great owner, just hire the right people and just sign the checks.
That's any job.
That's what I'm saying.
Any job, any business, anywhere. Just hire people who are smarter than you to do the job, and let them fucking do the job.
Just shut up and sign the checks. That's
it. Jim Irsay for the longest time has had Jerry Jones disease, where he cannot, and like Jerry Jones, he has seen the damage that he has done by speaking in the past. He's had issues with Peyton Manning. He's had issues with a lot of these guys that have come through their organization, and they still keep doing it. Why? You are damaging your own product. You are damaging, forget the players. You shouldn't, but forget them for a minute. You are damaging your business. You are taking money out of your own pocket because you can't keep your mouth shut. And that's a bad way to treat people, and it's a good way to lose money. And stop doing it. Don't do it anymore. I don't understand. This guy is a problem. Yeah, I just don't get it. But that being said, should we move into who's a problem? There's a brief story here about Mark Jackson being fired and Doc Rivers moving in, but I say we move to who's a problem unless someone's got an opinion on it.
I have no issue with that. You already got who's my problem. I mean, Ticker, who's your problem this week?
I was gonna stay with sports. ESPN was an option. I was also gonna go with the Mets again, but I've done that before. So until football gets here, I have no problem quickly veering off of sports to be my problem. My problem is all these people up in arms about the actors and the writers in Hollywood. Their strike. They're a problem. They're a problem. SAG-AFTRA. They are a problem.
It's a serious issue right now.
No, it's a serious issue. Now, hear me out, Joseph. I stand by their cause full-heartedly. Do they deserve more money? 100% for what they do. 100%. But you know what? So much attention is going to actors and writers and all these people who make a ton of money. And I get there's a lot of people in the unions who don't make much. I guess most of them make under $30,000 a year. But the fact that so much attention is being brought upon Hollywood actors and Hollywood writers when this issue has been going on amongst unions for blue-collar workers across America for hundreds of years, but we are now supposed to be up in arms, and everything in my Instagram feed is about the poor actors, the poor Screen Actors Guilds. You know, I feel bad for those background actors, but you know what? Go get a real job. Go serve somebody food. Go bricklay.
Actors are real.
Go back to college. They're real jobs, Joseph. But I'm saying we don't get up in arms about all the other unions out there, but we do when it comes to our actors, apparently. And they've been pushing this narrative so long. Movies are important. Support our actors. Go get another job. Go back to school. I'm just saying they're no more important than any other union, and everyone deserves more money. And owners are always crushing the little man and the people who build their company underneath the heel of their foot. But now when it comes to actors, we're supposed to get up in arms. I got a problem.
How about this? Maybe, just maybe, if some of these bozo fucking A-list super actors and actresses that win Academy Awards and Golden Globes and all this bullshit, when they go on stage to accept the award, how about you stop worrying about the foundation to save the fucking dolphins and the foundations to fucking cut air pollution, and you help your own fucking people in your profession and stick by your own people in the fucking Actors Guild Union instead of worrying about how many blades of grass are left in the fucking Serengeti. Okay, how about you worry about that instead? Yeah. How about those people step up to the plate? How about they step up to the plate? I don't worry about Leonardo DiCaprio's more concerned about if someone threw the soda can fucking plastic rings into the Indian Ocean because he's a water conservationist than he is about his own people, in the Actors Guild.
Yes.
So maybe they need to step up.
I agree, Mikey. And you know what? The only guy who I've seen to step up, not in that way, but in a different way, is The Rock. The Rock donated $10 million. Say what you want about this guy, but he seems like a genuine good guy.
Oh, yeah.
And he donated $10 million.
I'd be a good guy with that much money, too.
Joe'd be donating.
Joe'd be donating. They'll be as long as they got a pick. As long as they got a pick for him.
By the way,
absolutely.
do you know one of the best ways to avoid extra taxes is to donate to charity?
Yeah, of course. These guys
Thank you,
donate.
Joe.
They donate to their own charity. These guys donate.
Joe's donating the Jaguar to Cars for Kids at the end of the year.
What?
To avoid some extra
Cars for kids.
Bill
some
Gates
extra
every year
tax.
donates to the Bill Gates Foundation, and that's how he gets money right back in his pocket, but avoids taxes. Joey D in 20 years, look out for the Joey D Foundation because
The Human Fund.
the human fund,
The Human Fund.
people
Money
helping
for
people.
Money for people.
All right, Mikey V, who's your problem?
Cuts for
this
kids.
week?
I tell you
for
what,
kids.
I got a good problem this week, gentlemen. A really good problem. This group. This is a group that's a big problem right now. And I'm talking about the U.S. women's national team.
Okay.
The U.S. women's
How
national
about the Canadian team too? They got knocked out yesterday.
Were they a heavy favorite though? Like
No,
the
but
US
they're
was the
one of the-
heaviest of heavy favorites. They drew against Portugal last night 0-0. They drew against the Netherlands. They beat Vietnam 3-0, but the game was way closer than it ever should have been. They should have lost to Portugal last night. I saw one of the highlights. Portuguese woman hit the post in like the 80th or 90th minute. The U.S. got lucky. They would have been out last. You would have woke up this morning to the news of the U.S. women's national team being out. I don't know what's going on. This team was supposed to be the most dominant soccer team.
Well, Japan looks great.
Yeah.
I'm saying
Japan put a spanking on Spain.
U.S. always rolls in to the Women's World Cups, one of the heavy favorites, and they look terrible. They're a problem. If they don't do something drastic, I don't know if it's the lineup. I don't know if they got to, sit and start certain players. They're going to get knocked out in the first knockout in the group of 16. They'll get knocked out. And that'll be really devastating. I mean, I guess men's and women's now is a struggle for the United States, and it's just sad to see. But U.S. women's national team's a problem. They got to turn it around.
There's been some good soccer being played too. It's been enjoyable to watch.
And just the hours of it are insane. Like 3
I
a.m.
know.
3 a.m. kickoff. What are you, nuts?
Yeah.
Nuts? That's insane. I wouldn't watch that if you paid me.
Yeah,
All right.
That's tough.
All right. Apparently, the women's national team is a problem. Joey D already gave us his problem. We're getting into viewer questions. We thought we'd get here earlier. We thought it was going to be a viewer questions only show, but that's what we do here at the Sportsman. We pull on every thread.
We lie to you.
We lie to you. We lie to you.
We're frauds.
We're frauds. First question comes from Connor. Love the show. What's the angriest you have been from a sports bet or your losing team? Doesn't just have to be a bet. It could also be a losing team.
I think for me, it's pretty evident. It was the Packers losing to the 49ers in a game where they absolutely were dominating. It seemed like the Niners couldn't even get a first down. They couldn't do anything. And then, a punt block for a touchdown. And, before you knew it, that was it, man. The Packers were out. I think the reason why that game got me specifically was the Packers. I kept telling myself I was kind of downplaying their success throughout the years. And, I'm not sure. Everybody kept telling me they're the real deal. They're the number one seed. They look legit. Aaron Rodgers had a phenomenal year, and I've been burnt by that team so many times in like big games, in NFC championship games and divisional games. And I actually went into that game feeling very confident. The way they started the first drive, they scored a touchdown. They looked like they were going to cruise to victory. And, this is a few years ago now. And to me, it still feels like yesterday. That was, and then I went on a rant. I did an Instagram live. I went live, everybody was coming for my neck. I think Big Cat came on, Jerry.
It was me, you,
Mikey V.
It
Bob.
was me, you, Big Cat, and Bob.
Oh, it was just ridiculous, man. I was
and Big Cat was with Jerry. Yeah, it was brutal.
Yeah, it was a tough scene. I think the thing with sports, man, is you have your ups and you have your downs. And like I tell you, there's times where it's just infuriating to be a fan. It's just absolutely infuriating to be a fan. But that's why we keep coming back, because when you get that high, and Mikey V, I hope one day, hopefully not anytime soon, but I hope one day the Bears win a Super Bowl for you.
Joe, come on. I may not be around for much longer.
I said I hope they win a Super Bowl for you because
you said not anytime soon.
Well, not maybe in 5-10 years. I listen. I'm just saying, like when you watch the Eagles win the Super Bowl, was that not just a glorious? It's such a high that you're chasing it for years and years and years.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. Never experienced it.
All
We've
right,
experienced a national championship.
I've experienced 2 national championships. I experienced multiple World Series. I've experienced World Cup wins, Euro Cup wins. Everything except the Super Bowl is my white whale. Everything.
All right, Mikey V. That brings you
Well,
to
I'll go with a gambling one since Joe did sports. Sports for me, I got to tell you, the Ohio State-Georgia game in the playoff last year would probably rank up there. That one and the Ohio State loss to Clemson in the playoffs a couple years back when Fields threw the interception to end the game when they were coming back. Because those were games where Ohio State was leading a lot during both of those games. And that was very, very gut-wrenching, both of the way they lost those games. But I'm going to go with a gambling loss, just because the
I know one
guy who asked the question. He said that. Yeah, not that one, Joe. But I had a parlay going to win about, I want to say 3,000, and the last leg was the over 6.5 points in the first quarter, which is very rare. You very rarely find an under 1 touchdown over under first quarter total points. They don't rarely put it up anymore. Jets, Dolphins, I want to say over 6.5 points first quarter, and we were all out at a 2-year-old birthday party at Luna Woodfire Tavern, and we were all watching the game on the bar. Jets scored a touchdown in the first quarter with like very little time left, maybe 2 minutes, and it was a 0-0 game. And this was before they had even moved the extra point back. It was still regular extra points, and he just flat out shanked an old extra point, like where it's a 10-yard extra point. So the fix was probably in. The kicker probably had the over, or the kicker probably had the under. Excuse me. And that was. I sat there, and like I couldn't really think of a word. That's the worst on an extra point that wasn't even blocked. If it was blocked, I'd say,
right.
Well, it was blocked. He just shanked it. And again, this was prior to them moving the extra point back, so it was a gimme. Those were gimmies. Like the make percentage on those for the season was always like 99.8%. It was just brutal.
Mikey V's had some bad luck with kickers. Remember when we were sponsored by Prize Picks and we had the Cincinnati Bengals over on the kicker and he needed 1 point and he missed like 1 or 2 extra points. And one hit off the post. One was blocked. He had like three extra points that were missed. And Mikey V, we needed one of them to hit our parlay. McPherson, one of the best kickers in the NFL, too.
It was the right play. He would have hit it in his sleep. All he had to do was make one fucking
McPherson is what some people used to call him. Not anymore because I had him on my team last year. I did win, but he sucked.
I got another word that rhymes with fear that I'd call him, but I'm not going to get canceled.
Oh, no.
I'll make mine quick. If the Eagles hadn't won a Super Bowl, I'd probably go with last year. That was a really rough week, 2 weeks. That was having that lead, looking that good in the first half, and letting Mahomes come back and win. That was rough, but I won't go with that because we did win. So it was a little bit less of a sting. We had won back in 2017, but man, the Sixers back in 2018, I want to say, we had spent a bunch of money, trade deadline. We got Jimmy Butler to come in. We had Tobias Harris. He was still playing very good at that time. We had Embiid. We had Simmons. He was still shitty, but he was a little less shitty.
Loaded.
Loaded.
And we went to Game 7 against the Raptors, and we were trying to go to it was the game to go to the final.
Oh my God, was that the
Kawhi Leonard?
And Kawhi Leonard hits this fadeaway, falling out of bounds. People call it the triple dunk. It hit the rim, bounced up, hit the rim again, bounced up again.
Well, you know what? You know what? Not for nothing, Philly may have deserved that after the double doink, the triple doink. Maybe that's a little karma.
Sure. You can say we deserved it. You can say we didn't deserve it. It was
That's
about
tough,
as debilitating because the Sixers all my lifetime never tried. We drafted AI And that was pretty much all we did. We thought we did it. We drafted AI. We celebrated as if that was all we needed to do. Management never surrounded him with anyone good other than aging Chris Webber. At one point,
Eric Snow.
Didn't he play with Shaq eventually? Did he not play with Shaq eventually?
No, he played with Carmelo Anthony in Denver.
He went to the Nuggets and played with he played with Carmelo for like a year or two. Okay. Anyway, we never surrounded with anything. We finally started trying, and the fans realized it. And to go down by the triple doink. And you know what? That's what made Kawhi the star he is today. He has lived on that success and then going on to win that finals. And he's another guy like Sean Payton and Doc Rivers. I don't think he's as good as he's been Cantonized. You know, that's a football thing, but
one moment.
And you know what? Doesn't stink, but he sucks. That guy sucks, and he does not stay healthy.
Sucks is not as bad as stinks?
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Stinks is worse than sucks.
Really?
Yeah, if you suck, you just suck. But if you stink,
you're real bad.
If you stink, you really stink.
That's me at golf.
That's like Mikey V.
Suck, I stink.
Mikey V. A few months ago, we went down to Jupiter for Bob Does Sports, and we were sitting around dinner with Bob's dad, and Joe brought up. He said, this guy is a scumbag. And we were like, whoa, Joe, scumbag is one of the worst things you could possibly call someone. And the Cousin's Maine Lobster thing came up about Joe calling the guy a scumbag. And Bob's dad basically gave Joe an education of how, you can call someone an asshole, but you can't call him a scumbag. A scumbag is a life-defining.
Scumbag's tough. That's tough.
Scumbag's tough.
As an asshole, it's like you're an asshole. But if you're a scumbag, that means like you're deeply rooted. You're just an evil bad guy. You know what I mean? You're just a bad guy.
That's
like
exactly
an asshole.
Right.
It's like, you're inconsiderate sometimes. Like, what an asshole this guy is. But when you call somebody a scumbag, that's serious.
All right, let's move on. Great question, Connor. The next one comes from Luke. Which pro athlete deserves the next major Hollywood biopic film? Granted, these actors get off strike.
Which actor?
No, which athlete which athlete would you like to see have a movie made about them?
I'll give one.
Okay.
Cal Ripken Jr.
What?
That's
in the top ropes.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Not?
No, it's a good one.
And I'd have Kevin Costner play him.
A younger Kevin Costner would be a great choice. That'd be a great choice. You pulled that out of nowhere.
I don't know I thought of that. I just think he's an Hall of Fame guy. He's an icon in the baseball world. Why not? You got the baseball relevance with Costner and Field of Dreams. That'd be a perfect fit.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. That was fast. I got to think about it. Mikey V, you got somebody?
Not that fast. I don't. That was incredible. Geez. That was incredible. I think it would be fascinating. I think it would be fascinating to get a full life movie on Mike Vick. I think a Mike Vick movie would be fantastic, and let Denzel play him.
Denzel. What about Wesley Snipes?
Well, the problem is Denzel's old. The problem is Denzel and Wesley are old now. They're long in the tooth, so it's a little problematic. But if a dream scenario, I would.
Or Michael B. Jordan, maybe.
Yeah, Michael B. Jordan's a popular guy.
That's all you got to say about Michael B. Jordan? Yeah, he's a popular guy.
There's nothing really to say about him. He is popular.
He sucks. I'm not gonna say, but I'm not gonna say he stinks.
He doesn't stink. For sure. He does not stink, but he sucks.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to see a movie on Manny Ramirez.
Oh,
you were fucking Manny.
This guy, man.
Now who's playing Manny?
Michael Pena is going to play.
I
don't know. I don't know. I
who would be a great Manny Ramirez if you just put like some of the dreads on? The dreads would be Jack Black. Would play a great Manny Ramirez.
Oh, that's
Jack Black.
Yeah, I just think he's got like the doofiness. I think it would be fascinating.
No, I think he would, but it's like that'd be he's a white guy. You know what I mean?
It's a tough sell, but I just think that it would be something funny.
Mikey V, we can't keep giving these roles to white guys. We can't keep doing it.
I just gave I gave Denzel. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I love Denzel.
I like Mike Vick. I think that's a good one. Man, Cal Ripken is a good one.
It's a great one.
Sure. Roger Clemens. How about that?
Roger Clemens, yeah.
He's a cheater. Let's get into that.
All right. Love me some Rocket though.
Well,
sure do.
Yeah,
sure do.
Do you like him when he was on the Red Sox?
No.
Yeah, of course not.
No.
All right. Great question. This one comes from Daniel. If you could have any job in professional sports for 1 year, what would it be?
Any job.
Any job.
Sports.
Yeah. You could be a trainer if you wanted, Joseph. Or you could be an offensive coordinator.
I'll skip on the trainer.
Okay.
I
know exactly. Should I go first? I know who I want.
Go for it.
Okay. I'd like to be a head coach for a hockey team.
Wow.
I think I'd be very good at sitting in the box with the players, sitting behind them and being like, line two, go. I think I
would be hanging over the players, shouting at the ref.
Yes, I think I would know when my guys out on the ice are getting tired, and I think I could call them in, and I know when to put my line 1 in against their line 3. I think I'd be very good at that, and I think I'd have a lot of fun doing it. And it's only for 1 year, so if I suck, I'm out anyway. So,
is the question is it based on front office, or could you be a player?
Any job? Oh, that's a good question.
Let's keep front office.
I think it's not a player. I think it's any job that's not a player.
Yeah.
I would say not a player. Okay. How about I'd love to be a primetime commentator like Al Michaels. That would be great. You're traveling all over.
That's a great curve.
You got a great, I bet you the spread, I bet you the buffet spreads up there are second to none. You're traveling high-end hotels, first class private jets, and all you got to do is you just got to commentate for, a couple hours a week. That's it. That's your week. You get paid.
They do a lot of prep work, Joe. A lot of prep work.
I understand there's a prep work, but when you're doing it that long, it's second nature to someone like that.
Yeah, I would say I would like to give me strength and conditioning coach for either the Bears or Ohio State. I would love that. I would love that because I would absolutely just be the guy that you're going to pay me to just be in the gym all the time. That's why. And then what they do on the sidelines during the game is they just wear really tight polo shirts and they just run up and down the sidelines screaming at people and just getting people hyped up. That's my wheelhouse right there. I would love that. Because head coach, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, head coach, why would you want to be head coach? Let me tell you something. That's a very, very stressful job. That's a very stressful. Strength and conditioning, you're fine. Nobody's gonna your team loses. It's not your fault.
What do you think they're making as a strength and conditioning coach? It's decent money.
Yeah, decent money. I would say, yeah, decent, good enough. That's a dream job. So I would think that's
How about equipment manager?
Nah, I wouldn't want that. Very smelly. Got to be very smelly job. That's a smelly job.
No, you have somebody under you who's cleaning all the jerseys and stuff.
I don't know, Joe. I don't know. Now you could get blamed for something very easy. What happened to this guy's helmet? The helmet mic ain't working.
What about Deflategate?
Yeah, another instance.
Okay, I got a good one here. That's a great question. But this one's very interesting. This one comes from a young man named Cyrus.
Well, this guy sounds like trouble. You ever watch Trailer Park Boys?
Yeah, with you. I watched it with you.
Remember Cyrus? He was like the dude who was always trying to kill Ricky and them. He'd pull up in a Corvette with the glasses on, with the pistol. He was a psycho. You got to watch that show sometime. It's absolutely hysterical.
He tries to get everyone to watch.
Great show, you guys got to watch. By the way, great show. I forgot to mention I'm really dumb show this week. If you haven't watched it, Righteous Gemstones on HBO.
Mikey, that show's been out for 5 years.
Yeah, the new season though. But it's a great show.
It's a great show. Mikey, have you seen The Bear? The Bear is a great show.
No, I haven't.
You haven't seen The Bear?
No.
Have you heard of The Bear?
No.
The Bear is all about a show. It's in Chicago, and it's about a
It's right up his alley.
It's a fine dining James Beard award.
Yes,
young chef.
Yes,
who comes back to Chicago to
Holly made me watch it. Yes,
to revive
it. It was good. I got through like a couple episodes and then I fell asleep. But it
gets better. No, it gets better. Like as you go on, it like the second season is one of the best.
No. I liked it a lot from what I saw. I just unfortunately I fell asleep and I haven't started rewatching it yet. But yes, I did like it.
Joe would love this too. He's a fine dining chef.
He would.
He worked at Noma. He worked everywhere.
Chet told me to watch
I like that actor too.
He was in Shameless. Jeremy Allen White.
Good.
But he comes back to work at he's a fine dining 5-star chef, and he comes back to help revive his family's Chicago, like poor side of Chicago's sandwich shop. It's an excellent show. But Cyrus comes and says, is there any losing streak that would make you retire from sports betting? If so, how much?
How many losses consecutively, or how much money?
He's saying, is there any losing streak? Maybe you've lost 10,000. You've lost the last 15 games. You lost 10,000. Is there any sort of losing streak that could allow you to?
As long as you're playing for fun and you're not getting out of control where you're betting more than you can afford, then I would say no. Now, if you're chasing and you're betting, like, thankfully, I can say I don't bet more than I can afford when I do. But if you get to the point where you can't afford your losses, that's when you need to quit.
Yeah, I agree with that. You got to bet.
You got to bet responsibly.
Bet with your head, not over it. I tell people that all the time, and that's why I don't really, I don't like to put out like these guys who bet across the board. If you're gonna be a professional gambler, or you think you're gonna be a professional gambler, or you see these people on Instagram or social media that proclaim themselves to be, that's a load of horse shit. Number one,
I think in betting, Mikey V, isn't it like 65 to 70%?
Oh, if you're winning, if you're pulling 70%, you're a good gambler.
But I'm saying that 70% is not a high percentage. And that's
no, it's not. But I mean, gambling, it's astronomical.
I understand, but that's my point: is that people who think that they can aspire to be a professional gambler, gambling is supposed
to be fun. You never bet with your lunch money, as they say. You never bet, more than you can afford to lose. It's supposed to be fun. If you have a serious addiction, and I know people close to me that are addicted to gambling, just like anything else, like drugs or alcohol. It's the same thing. And not the act of it itself. It's the stimulus that it gives you, the adrenaline rush,
the high.
Yeah, and you got to be very, very careful. The question, if it's posed to me personally, would there be a streak? No, because if you follow Only Subs, we don't really lose in streaks. Okay, so if you're a responsible gambler, join the Only Subs, $2.99 a month. You cannot beat that, not with a stick. Nobody's going to give you that price.
My favorite slogan.
Price a little.
My favorite slogan is less than $3. Less than $3. $2.99.
Less than a cup of coffee is what he likes to say.
Less than a cup of coffee. It's true.
Yeah, that's what it's true. Mikey V, you could raise that to $4.99.
I'm not. Yeah, I know. I've contemplated it, and I tell you what, I have a list of the content that I'm going to starting this football season.
Because you put a lot into it. You put even the graphics and the lives that you do. You spend a lot of time.
We have a large.
I understand, but you raise it $2 a month.
Mikey V's got.
I'm not trying to screw people out of money.
I have a plan.
Mikey V's got a plan. There's a time to raise it. It's not right now, but there will be.
Maybe he will be joining forces with big ticket betting, and we'll have
only if he wants to lose. Only if he wants to lose money. Only if he wants to lose money.
I do miss the ticket reels with the cigar.
I'm sure you do.
Those were so funny.
I'm sure you do.
The lawnmower.
Everyone loved laughing at me. Very few loved laughing with me.
You had 12,000, 15,000 folks.
That's true. That is true. But it was me. Yeah.
Bet with the ticket, with the big stogie hanging out of his mouth. That was so great.
Book it was my thing.
Yeah, book it.
Book it. All right. We'll do two more. Both are pretty quick. One is from Sean. Great question, Cyrus. This one's from Sean. Big one here, boys. What makes a better cutlet, chicken or veal?
Let me tell you something.
Wow.
If you haven't tried it,
veal cutlets are legit.
Yeah, veal. If you get good veal's great. I think chicken is the everyday cutlet. I think it's the most.
Right.
Here's a cutlet. My wife has been making them lately over chicken, and let me say this: they are pork, thinly pounded
pork.
Oh,
really?
Pork cutlets. They are so fucking incredible. If you haven't tried them, try them. Now, that person who asked that question, I'm sure you're going to venture, because if you're asking a question about cutlets on a sports show, you're obviously a big fan. Who asked the question? You're a big fan.
Who asked the question?
I said it's just a first name, no last name.
What is it?
I said it in the beginning. Now you're asking me to go back.
This guy sounds like an absolute beauty.
Hang on, his name is Sean.
Sean, I tell you, I like the cut. I like the cut of Sean's jib. Let me tell you, I would say.
Did you make me go find his name just so you could do that little joke? I like the cut,
which makes no sense because he doesn't know what he looks like. So how can he like the cut of his jib when he doesn't? Now, but Joe, I will
that's
say
the guy I can get behind.
Yeah, Sean. A guy who's asking questions about cutlets on a sports show has to be a big fan of cutlets. This guy must live and die by the cutlet. Try the pork cut.
I would say
chicken over veal for me.
Chicken is more consistently what I have, but yeah, I'd go with chicken. But veal is a delight.
Veal slaps. It's just if you get a bet, like I've never had a terrible chicken cutlet. I've had terrible veal cutlet.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow.
I get a bad piece of veal. It's like eating rubber. It's very tough.
My nonna used to make veal cutlets, and it was special.
No,
a chicken cutlet is about as good as it gets, but I will say there was a veal parm that Joseph brought back for me from Carbone. It wasn't even fresh. It wasn't even fresh. And that being said,
it was phenomenal.
Nicky Diamonds, I told him the very next day, I was like, I had the best veal cutlet of my life.
And I guarantee I know what he said. I guarantee he said something along those lines. No, you never had one where I could take you. Or something
no, he said, no. He said, I know 12 guys' grandmother who can make a better veal cutlet than that one. Yeah.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong.
Did he give you like 3 different restaurants too that he'd take you? That were like better than Carbone.
Yeah, better than Carbone, better than Rayo's. You know,
I will say right now, Carbone to me is the best.
That's your favorite restaurant.
I think it's my top restaurant right now
favorite one
in the industry. I went to the one in Vegas. I went to the one in New York. It's. Have you been, Mikey?
No, I haven't
been.
So I gotta be honest.
Good.
I'm sure it's good. I just don't have desire to go. You know what it is? I'm so oversaturated with Italian food in this area. Like, it's
I get it.
It's just everywhere, and I just like for me to go out of my way to try. And
plus, it's not cheap. It's expensive.
I don't give a fuck. That's really. I don't care about. But to go out of my way and have to go into the city and it's a big thing, and
it's hard to get a reservation.
I don't need it. My wife will make me a delicious meal like this, and we could get the best stuff because we're in an area where you can go to the butcher stores, the specialty stores. They sell all that shit. Now, don't get me wrong. These restaurants, they do it nice. They do a very good job. It's a great time when you go out with a group of people. But for me to go out of my way and do that, and
I am
going back to that place I told you about, Joe in Montclair, that pasta ramen, the Italian Japanese fusion.
Oh, you love that
Italian Asian fusion. I've only been once.
I'm going. Terrible.
Oh no,
sounds atrocious.
No.
Japanese and Italian fusion.
It's Asian Italian fusion, but
I like it. I like it.
Well, what is the ramen noodles? What is ramen?
Udon ramen. No, it's Japanese.
It is Japanese. Okay, so I guess it is more Japanese Italian fusion. It is.
You mean like
fusion next level? It's
fusion restaurants are awesome. Fusion restaurants are awesome. I've done a Chinese and French fusion, which was unbelievable as well.
Yeah,
you got some creative chefs.
The Chinese don't miss. They don't.
I had maybe the best omelet of my life in that place. It was unbelievable.
There you go.
Have you ever had just a plain omelet? A plain omelet that's done right? Yeah. Like, no, that's just like it's.
There are also some fusions.
The eggs are like fucking silk.
There are also some fusions out there that completely miss the mark.
Yes, I agree.
They are just
Sean has sent us on a complete tailspin here.
Sean is complete. Well,
it's Sean's fault.
You know what? I got one more for you, and it's for Mikey V. If Mikey V's got a little energy left, Mick.
Mick?
Yeah, his name's.
Is it just Mick?
It's Jagger.
Yeah, EA Anderson
out of the Sportsmen. Fan of
Yeah,
Sportsmen.
yeah, that's right.
That would be big if we could get the Stones. That would be big.
That'd be great.
That would be
Imagine Mick Jagger's secretly a Sportsman fan listening from home.
That's
big.
right.
Is this the last question, Ticket?
This is the last question, and it's only
Okay.
for you. Mick, would just love a Mikey V pump-up speech for football coming this fall.
Wow.
Now, if you don't have
to
it,
end the episode with that.
A pump-up speech?
now if you don't have
the
it, we
people
can do
going.
it later, closer to football season. But if you got it in, you got
I mean,
it.
listen.
How many sleeps away are we? We're not that far, man.
We're in the 30s. We're
Yeah.
in the 30s. September 10th. September 10th.
I think
But
we're like
isn't there a
30,
game before
30
that?
We got like 39 days. It's just in the 30s.
No, it's in the 30s. It's in the 30s.
39. Yeah. Okay.
The 30s.
All
We'll
right,
say the
all right,
30s.
all right.
Here's the bottom line. Is you've waited. If you're a man, you've waited now for the last however many months since the final whistle of the Super Bowl. Sorry, Ticket. But we've waited since the last moment of the Super Bowl. College has been well gone since before then. It's been since February. The winter was a cold one. The spring wasn't a great one. This summer's been a lot of rain. Joey's been complaining about the rain in California.
Oh,
But the rays of sunshine are starting to peek through the clouds, and those rays of sunshine are in the shape and form of little footballs flying right into the face. and then they're in the shape of the line of scrimmage and the 20-yard line marker and the 50-yard line marker.
bad calls.
Bad calls, bad bets, bad beats, fantasy heartbreak. It's all right around the corner. It's right there. You could taste it. We are 2 days away from NFL football. You may say, Mike, it's not a real game. You may say, Mike, what kind of a sick fuck watches Zach Wilson play and start in a football game? You may say, who watches a football game broadcasted from the NFL Hall of Fame football field that looks like a high school football field? I'm going to tell you who. I do. This is the best time of the year. The best time. There is no feeling, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
Put yourself in that state of mind. Put yourself on your favorite chair, on your favorite recliner, on your favorite couch. NFL Football Sunday. The ticker's coming. Scott Hansen is right around the corner.
wow.
7 hours of commercial-free football
witching
starting
hour.
now.
The witching hour.
The octobox, the quad box.
Oh, yeah.
Every single kind of box you could ever imagine. Well, maybe not every kind. But I digress. This football season is going to be something for the ages. I think we're going to do it better and cover it better than we've ever covered it on this show, on the Brilliantly Dumb show. Bob Does Sports, whatever channel you want to turn. This season is just going to be something that really, really is going to be something different, something special. The live streams, the betting heartbreaks, it's all right there for the taking. We're sure going to cover it. We're going to cover it better than anyone else. I don't give a fuck who you could mention, who the fuck you could say. We will cover it better than anyone. You stick with us. You stay with us through the entire season, and we will be ready come October, come November, when the games get serious, when it's playoff push time. There's nobody else that you'd rather ride with and rather experience it with than the three gentlemen right here, plus a couple others from our other channels and networks. Stick here, stick with us. Football into your veins, inject it right into my jugular, and I'd love to take it. Thank you for the question.
Wow.
Nick.
I think you got to end the show on that. That was sensational.
Like, comment, subscribe. That's the Sportsman. And we will see you next week.
Wow.
Wow.